Hello crafty family, and welcome to another video by She's So Crafty. Now this video is all about my favorite tools and supplies that so many of you have requested. Now I hope that you guys find this helpful, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to see how I use all of these items in my DIY videos. Hey crafty family, I am so excited to finally share with you guys my top 10 tools and top 10 supplies with you guys to know what I love to have in my crafting space. So let's just get started. So I'm going to start off with this SureBonder silicone mat. Now, as you know, you probably have seen this in almost every one of my videos, and this is something I absolutely love. Now this one is from SureBonder, and I know other companies make this, but I haven't seen one as thick as the SureBonder brand, and this one is actually pretty thick. It comes with some markings on the side for measurements that are kind of hard to see, but they are there, so that helps with measuring and things like that. It has the SureBonder logo on there at the very top. Let me tell you guys, this mat is just amazing. I started off crafting not using this mat, and I would get glue and paint everywhere. But this mat is so easy to clean, and nothing sticks to it. No glue, no paint, no markers, stain. I have got all of those things on this mat, and it easily cleans up with a little Clorox or Lysol wipey. So it really does clean well. If you guys don't have one of these, you definitely need it, especially if you work with lots of hot glue, because we know hot glue gets everywhere. So definitely invest in one of these. This is something I don't think I could do without in my crafting space. Now, besides the silicone mat, the other mats that I use are cutting mats. Now, these are self-healing cutting mats that I have. Both of these actual mats I actually picked up either from the thrift store or a garage sale. But you could definitely buy these on Amazon, or they can be bought online at any other store or in a craft store. So I always keep a smaller one that's about 18 inches to use. And I also have one that's larger. This one is 24 by 18, and this one just happens to be two-sided with two different colors. Now, as you know, the Dollar Tree does sell their version. They have a really small one you could use, so if you want to use that, you definitely can. And here's that little one too. You could use that one. So this one's also self-healing. You can get it from the Dollar Tree. This is good for small cutting jobs. So yes, definitely have yourself some self-healing mats, especially if you use your utility blades, cutting, or rotary cutters. The next favorite of mine is this L-shaped ruler. This is known as an L-shaped ruler or a Carpenter square. This has definitely been one of the key items that I keep in my crafting space and keeps all of my projects nice and level and square. If you guys don't have one of these, you definitely need to get one. Now, they do sell them in hardware stores, but look, you guys, I got this one from the Dollar Tree. It works just as good as the ones in the hardware store. It has measurements on both sides in different increments, but definitely get one of these. These are perfect if you work with a lot of frames, tumbling tower blocks, things of that nature. You probably have seen them mostly in my tumbling tower block DIYs. But if you don't have one of these in your crafting space, it's definitely one of my favorites and what I suggest you definitely have in your crafting arsenal. The next item I want to mention is a glue gun, of course. Every crafter should have a nice glue gun. Now, this is a SureBonder glue gun. It's a full size that has high and low temperature on it, and it is a corded glue gun. And I love using this one, and I love that it has a precise tip in case you needed to get into those small intricate areas. But I have to say, the #1 feature I love about this glue gun is that it has an auto shut off method. I don't know how many times I have walked away from my glue gun and left it on on in my space when I had a different brand, but this one has a 30-minute timer on it. So if you do walk away and your glue gun is still on, it will shut off automatically in 30 minutes. And then to turn it back on, you just hit that trigger and that reactivates the heating process. So this is definitely it's working. It's nice and beat up and broken ends, and I really love it. So you definitely want to invest in a really good glue gun. This is my favorite for my crafts. So I hope that you guys actually have a chance to get one of these too, because these are awesome. The next item I wanted to share with you guys are scissors. So you definitely want to have a good pair of scissors in your crafting space. And I have 2 pairs that I commonly use in all of my videos. And I'm going to start with these because these you probably see all the time. I get so many questions about these scissors, and these are a basic brand. The brand on these is called Craft Gear. I actually picked these up several years ago from Ross in a multiple pack. I think they still sell these at Michael's under a different brand, but these have been so good in my crafting space. I've cut everything from paper to metal to plastic, even the garden fencing, you guys. This cuts well, and they are very, very sharp. And these are several years old, and they are awesome. Now, if you have trouble with scissors cutting things like the garden fencing, you know, what I would suggest is to get a pair of old, worn out fabric scissors. Now, fabric people, don't come for me. I know what you're going to say. That's why I said old, worn out fabric scissors. We know fabric scissors are just for fabric, but when they get too old and don't cut fabric well, they are still very sharp. Now, these are my fabric scissors that I got. I actually got these several years ago from Hancock Fabrics when they were in business, and these are titanium coated. These are only for my fabrics, so I definitely keep these to the side and cut fabric type of items. But like I mentioned, if you have an old, worn out pair of fabric scissors, you could use those for your everyday scissors like these, and these are super sharp. These will cut through the fencing just as well. I would actually suggest you get fabric scissors to cut your fencing if you don't plan on using them for fabric. So yes, these are the 2 pair everyday scissors and my fabric scissors. The next item you need to have in your crafting arsenal is some utility blades. These have saved me so much time, and you can get these from a hardware store, or you can actually get them from the Dollar Tree. I know the larger one, this size, is available at the Dollar Tree, but they also have this little precision one too, and these actually come in a 2-pack, and I believe I got these from Lowe's. So these have sharp blades, and what they do is they snap off when you wear them down. They have a snap off line, so you can always keep a very sharp blade. These are great for cutting wood pieces that are really thin, like craft sticks. I've used them to cut my foam board, get really nice sharp cuts with foam board, paper. So handy. I don't think I can actually not have these in my craft space, because they do come in handy and they are so useful. Now, in the past, I've also used some X-Acto knives. Now, I didn't put the blade on here for safety, but I've also used the X-Acto blade, and this is an X-Acto knife without the blade, but this is the carrier, and I've used these before. These are also good for that, but I chose to go the more affordable route of the utility blades because they cut just as well as the X-Acto blades, plus you get more use out of these, in my opinion. So I definitely think you should have a set of these in your craft space. These are one of my favorites. The next one of my favorites are some wire clippers. These are definitely something you need to have in your craft space as well. We know when we work with a lot of pre-made tools and pre-made items, they have the little nails and things we need to snip off. They have little pieces and we need to make intricate cuts, and these are the 2 that I keep in my craft room. One pair is this tiny, like kind of micro tipped. This is good to get in small, intricate spaces. I actually picked these up from Amazon. I love these. these. These have kind of like a spring in them, so they continually open to help relieve some of the stress on your hands. So I love these smaller tipped or jewel kind of little wire cutters. And then I have a pair of standard or basic wire cutters for everyday use, and I use these in lots of my projects. You guys have probably seen this. I actually got this in a set of different little wire clippers and some wire tools, but this is definitely, with the pair, both of these come in handy for a lot of daily projects that you will see on my channel. The next tool that I love to have in my crafting space would be this hot knife. Now, I have recently used this in a lot of my projects, but I love to use this from everywhere from cutting plastics to cutting a foam board. This one has an adjustable temperature gauge, and it comes with interchangeable bits in a kit, and I like to keep the kind of little sharp X-Acto type blade in the middle there, and this is good for cutting through plastics and other hard materials that can easily melt. I love this thing. This makes cuts really smooth and easy. And you know, when you cut some plastics, what will happen is the plastic will crack if you use a scissor or a utility blade, and this just makes it glide like butter. You always want to be safe, of course, when using any tools that are heated, but definitely get yourself a hot knife for your craft space, and I'm sure it will come in handy. The next item in my top favorites are staple guns. You guys, you have to have a good staple gun in your crafting group, I believe. I love my staple guns. Now, I currently operate with two different ones. One is slightly smaller than the other. Now, if you see, one is labeled with short and one is labeled with long, and that refers to the length of the staples inside. And so I try to keep both of them on hand when I use my projects. Now, the type of staples that I use in these is Arrow. For the short staples, I use these 1/4 inch staples, and then for the long one, I use these 3/8 inch staples in here. And I get, like I said, I get them either, this one was actually on clearance, and then I order them from Amazon. But definitely, the staple gun comes in so handy and is a reinforcement or quick attachment when making frames, attaching paint sticks. Anytime I do a wood project, you'll see me often use my staple guns to reinforce connections. So definitely get yourself a staple gun, a really good one. These are made by Stanley. I've had these for years and they have worked so well. Okay, so let's get into the heavy duty stuff. We're gonna talk drills. So you guys know I love to use drills in my project, especially when I'm working with wood. Now, hot glue is nice, but you guys, you have to use a drill and screws to secure your projects to make sure they are the best and most professional quality. Now, the two drills that I use are this older model. It's a Black & Decker, but it's called a Firestorm. Listen, you guys, I have had this drill for probably 17 years, and I got it as a housewarming gift. So, and I've lived in my house 17 years. So yes, this is how old this drill is. And today, you see, it still works as good as the day that I got it. So this is a 18 volt with a battery pack cordless drill. I use this a lot in my DIYs. This is actually my best drill that I use, or my favorite drill to use. But this one works really great. Black & Decker has come out with a more updated model of this. I love this model because it does have a detachable little clutch part, and you could put like another bit inside to do your screwing and things like that. So you don't have to keep unscrewing your drill bits. I'm not sure if they still have this attachment in the newer models, but this is one that I definitely love. Now, you've also seen me recently use this Porter cable brand. I also love this one as well. It doesn't have a detachable clutch. This one is corded. So I was working on a project recently where I ran out of power on this. I forgot to charge up my drill. So I resorted to my corded drill. This one is great. I love using this one. This one has a lot of power. As you can hear, it has a lot of power. So I love using both of these drills in combination in all of my wood DIYs, but either way, get a good drill for your crafting space. Once you start using things like this to attach your wood projects, let me tell you guys, it's going to change your DIY game. Do not be afraid of a drill. A drill is a game changer, and it also makes your projects look top notch, and they'll make them to last. How could I talk about drills without talking about drill bits? So my little drill bit set is made by DeWalt, and it has a different selection of all kinds of sizes that I use in my drill. This was a gift to me from my mom. Mom, if you're watching, thank you so much. You know me so well. So these have lasted, oh gosh, I've had these for about 3 or 4 years, and these are amazing. And these have the longest, these have a very long life with them. They're longer than stainless steel, and I believe these are the titanium coated ones. So these last a long time, you guys, and I've had these for all of my projects. This is the drill bit that I use. So definitely get a good drill bit to go with any drill that you use in your project. And finally, this is my miter saw that I use to cut all of my wood that I use in my projects. Now, it's a Hitachi 10-inch saw and cuts straight, mitered, and beveled cuts. Now, it's now sold as a Metabo HTP brand and is only around $99. So this will basically pay for itself within the first couple crafts and projects. Now, an alternative is a miter box, which will make the same types of cuts. It just takes a little bit more effort. Now, I only use this for smaller jobs like dowels and paint sticks, but it does come in handy for that purpose. Okay, you guys, let's talk glues. So we're talking hot glue right now, you guys. Let me tell you. Okay, we're going to start with our hot glue. And as you all know, for my woodworking, I use these Fixie woodworking hot glue sticks. These are so awesome when it comes to hot gluing and wood. You never want to use your everyday standard hot glue with wood. You always want to try to use one specialized for woodworking. Now, the great thing about these wood glue sticks is that they have a longer working time, so it allows you to set that piece right in place. And they come with a little slight darker tint than regular glue sticks. So they're made to kind of match your wood. So these have a longer set time, meaning that you can actually join your wood pieces together a lot easier. And then, so you can get them tighter and have less of a gap. I love these things when it comes to wood. Now, you can use these woodworking glue sticks with any project, you guys. You could use them for plastic. You could use them for your foam board, all kinds of things. So they're not limited to just wood. They just have a special formulation that works with wood to make it bond better. So this is one of my favorites to work with. Now, SureBonder also makes a brand called Wood Stick, S-T-I-K. I love those as well, but these you get more in bulk for the price, and in my opinion, they work just as good as the SureBonder brand. So this is what I love to use for my woodworking. Now, the other glue sticks that I love to use are your standard glue sticks. Now, I use the AdTech brand, and as you can see, these have more of a clear look to them. I just have them in this container. I took them out of the original packaging, but these are everyday glue sticks, and most of the time I use these for any time I'm using like paper items, if I'm working with foam board or if I'm working with something like that. You don't need the strength of the wood glue sticks, but you want something strong, and these work just great. And I get these in bulk too. You could get them in a large pack from Amazon, really inexpensive, or you can get them from a craft store if you have a coupon, a really great deal. So this is another staple in my glue collection. Now, some more glues that I really love. First of all, let me talk about this SureBonder fabric stick glue. This is a fabric hot glue, you guys. This one comes in a lighter color, but they do have it in a darker colorway as well. And this is specifically formulated for fabric. I love using this. If I have to hot glue a pillow, I'll either use these or I'll use my Beacon glue. I don't have my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue right now. It's on loan. So I don't have that with me right now, but that's another one that I love because these can also be washed with these glues, and you can actually hang to dry. And so you don't really want to do that with regular hot glue. So you definitely want to use a glue specialized for your fabrics. And wood glue. You guys, I love using wood glue in my projects. Now these glues here are what I tend to use. Now this is the wood glue sold by the Super Glue brand at the Dollar Tree, and then I also have some Gorilla Wood glue. In my opinion, both of these glues function and work the absolute same. There's no difference in between them, and I use them interchangeably. But you know, if I want a smaller bottle, something quick and portable, I'll grab this wood glue, or you know, Gorilla Glue, whatever I may use. But like I said, they function just the same to me. I don't notice a difference. If you're working with Tumbling Tower blocks or something like that, wood glue is the way to go. They keep those blocks so secured together. I absolutely love working with this glue. This is something and a staple I definitely keep in my crafting arsenal. And then finally, a glue stick. Now this is an Elmer's washable school glue stick. It goes on in a purple color. Now I use this when applying some of the calendar sheets, scrap paper. This is really good for that. I love using that because it keeps the scrap paper and the calendar sheets from bubbling up. This is another thing and a staple that I keep in my craft room. So definitely grab some of these glue sticks. They actually should be a pretty good price right now because kids are going back to school. So now let's talk about paints. So apple barrel acrylic paints are my staple for my craft room. I usually buy them in this really big container. This is 32 ounces. It's less than $10 for each of them. This lasts me so long, and I just keep refilling the smaller bottles that I have in my craft room. These are my staple 2 colors. Now, of course, I have the smaller bottles of apple barrel paints, but these are my 2 definite staples that I have to have in my craft space. I love these, especially the black. It's so opaque. You only need one really good coat, but these are 2 of my staples. Now, if I wanted to work with chalk paint, my preference on that is using this folk art chalk paint, and this is the home decor chalk paint. This stuff is really thick. Now I know chalk paint can be expensive sometimes, but I always purchase this when they have a coupon at JoAnn so I can get it half price. Now if they have this size in the store, I usually buy that, but sometimes they only have 16 ounces, and I try to get that if I can. But definitely get yourself a good basic chalk paint and get yourself 2 basic black and white acrylic paint, and you should be good to go in your craft space. Now let's talk about spray paint. You guys know I love to use spray paint in my DIYs. Now when it comes to spray paint, priming is key, especially when it comes to a lot of Dollar Tree items, and this is my go-to. You guys, the coverage of this Zinsser 123 primer is among the top that I have ever seen. This is my go-to. I actually bought this before the prices went up, and I got it in a case, and this lasts so long. The coverage on this is excellent. So if you're covering anything with writing or any kind of designs or patterns on it, or even covering plastic and those hard to paint kind of textures that you want your final coat to adhere to, get yourself some of this Zinsser 123. Not only does it provide a really good coverage, but it dries within 30 minutes, so you could put a top coat on. So that is a bonus for me. So the Zinsser 123 primer, this is my go-to. This is something I definitely have to keep in my crafting arsenal. Two other paints I often use are these Krylon brands. Now, I love this brand because it's not too expensive, but it does get good coverage. And this is a paint and primer blend. This is what I usually layer over my Zinsser primer. Now, I usually use the Color Max line, but they do have other lines. But I find that this is the most inexpensive line, but it does provide really good coverage. So I keep black and white and I rotate between them. And I also have used colors in some of my DIYs. But these two are a definite staple in my crafting paint arsenal. I love these paints, and you could get them in flat, you can get them in satin, and you could get them in glossy. So definitely grab some of these if you're looking for a really good quality paint for your spray paint projects. The next item I want to talk about are stains. You guys know I love to stain my projects. So my go-to for stain is Minwax. I just love this brand. It's never failed or let me down. Of course, if you've been following me for a while, you know my favorite is this really rich dark Jacobian stain. And I most recently have incorporated this early American for a lighter color in some of my projects. So in combination, these two stains I'm always rotating out if I want a rich wood color in my projects. Now, I also have used some Minwax in classic gray, so you could tell that this one has been used quite a bit. So classic gray is another great stain by Minwax that I use, but I love these two and they stay in my craft room when I want a very beautiful stain color for my projects. Now, I know some of you are sensitive to the smell of stain, so in lieu of that, you could use some antique wax. This is by Waverly. This has the same effect as stain in the look, but without any kind of odors or smells. So you could definitely use this. I've used this lots of times in my DIYs. It always turns out beautiful, and if you're using it on raw wood, it definitely brings out the grain, and you can use this to actually create grain on white surfaces that I've done lots of times in my DIYs. So this is something that I definitely keep in rotation in my craft space. Now let's talk about wood. You guys know I love to use wood, and the wood I like to get is wood furring strips. This is pine, and it's the least expensive cuts at the Home Depot. So I usually get these in sizes by 1x4. I usually get them 1x3, and I also get them in 1x2. These are the least expensive cuts of wood, and they're made for more construction type purposes, not really to be showcased, but they can definitely be used for showcasing in crafts. I've been heard that these are called crafters gold because we don't need top of the line flawless wood, but these are perfect for crafting and make our crafts look amazing. All of the wood that I use in my projects, I use this pine furring wood, and when people look at it, they don't really realize it is the pine furring the least expensive cuts. So these are definitely something that I keep in rotation in my craft stash, and I definitely will co-sign on this to say these are great for crafting. Now, another thing that I love to keep in my crafting stash are paint stir sticks, you guys. You know I love to use these in my crafting, and they definitely remain a staple. I've seen them in the 5-gallon size here. They also have them in the 1-gallon size in a 10-pack, and they have a 30-pack of what they call quart size, or what I call jumbo craft sticks. These are definitely something I keep in rotation. Right now, current pricing for these, they just raised from 98 cents, but they're now $1.48 at Home Depot. So that's where I get them now. But I managed to grab a bunch of these before the price hike, and I did post it on my Facebook page that the price was going up. So if you guys are not following me on Facebook, definitely you want to follow me there, because I'll keep you guys in the loop about how these prices have been changing. But these are definitely something that every crafter should have in their stash. There's always a use for these in all of your projects, so grab some of these. Now, this next supply item has to be one of the most asked about items that I show in my videos, and it has to be my box of screws. Now, you guys, I did not buy this box of screws already assembled like this. I actually put this all together myself, filled with all of the different screws that I use in my project. But I do want to start with the case first. This organization case has adjustable compartments, and all this is one of those fishing and tackle boxes. Now, I've picked up these over the years, some at like Habitat for Humanity, some I've ordered online at Amazon, some of I picked up from Walmart, but these are actually very inexpensive if you get them in the fishing and tackle section. If you go to a craft store to get these, they tend to mark up the price, and I think it's just because it's a craft store. Go to the fishing and tackle section at your local Walmart, or even go on Amazon buying them in bulk. So here's the one that I have here, and when you open it, it has all of my screws in here. So all I did was buy individual packets of screws to go inside of my box, and I just selected screws of different sizes. Now, my screws in this box range from 1/2 inch length all the way to 3 inch length, and I just have them assorted in the box, according to the size and the type. Now, these are all wood or construction screws because that's what I use in this top section. And then let me give you a closer look here. So here's all my wood and construction screws, and then if you could look at the bottom here, I have a lot of like brad screws and finishing nails in the bottom there. So that's what I have here. And then this little extra compartment is where I keep some packaged pieces like dowel screws. You'll see me use these when I do tiered trays in wood to kind of keep them permanently affixed together. And I keep other little packets of screws that I need to refill. And if you notice on a lot of these little packets of screws, if you look in the back, let me pull one that's open, they'll have a guide on there. And let me zoom in here. So what this guide is, this is a guide to show you what size pilot hole you need to drill for your screw. And I get questions all the time about how do you select what kind of drill bit to use, and I kind of go by this. It'll tell you the screw size and whether you're drilling in softwood or hardwood. Now, a lot of my projects I'm using pine, which is a softwood, so I use this guide in determining what type of pilot hole size I need to drill for my screws. So these are a good guide. If you want to screenshot that, you can for reference, but this just comes in on the back of a lot of these screw packets already to help you, but this definitely is something that would be helpful in the future. Now, in the box, I just label these so I can keep track of them. Let me see, I'll tilt it up a little bit. You can see I have little paper labels in there, and I just wrote down the brand, the screw size, and the length. And that just keeps me on track on what I'm selecting and what I have in stock. And also, if I'm running low, like I'm running low on 1 1/2 inch number 6 screws, I know what to go out and buy to refill that. But you guys, that is it. Very basic. I just put it all together. And where I buy my screws varies. I buy my screws from the hardware stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. I sometimes will get them from Walmart. Sometimes I'll get them online if they have a deal. And let me tell you guys, a lot of the times I'll find them loose in packets, small little Ziploc baggies at the Habitat for Humanity store. And they usually are very reasonably priced, by 50 cents to $1 for a pack of them. So don't count them out. You could just put this together. Like I said, you could get a box from Amazon, Walmart, and these have the interchangeable compartments. Walmart, I saw one comparable to this size, and it was only $5, you guys. So I'll put some links down in the description box below, but definitely get you one of these. I was struggling with the little packets everywhere and the boxes of screws everywhere, and like here's one of my refill boxes. So I had stacks of these, and they just got annoying. So I said I've got to have a common place where I can grab and use everything. So this, let me tell you guys, this has definitely been a lifesaver, and this is probably the most asked about thing in my videos, but this is my best my best lifesaver ever. I love this box, and it's full of all of the screws and also kind of nails that you may need if you're mounting something on the wall. So definitely get you one of these boxes to organize all of your screws in. It will save you so much time. Now, by the way, I'll be sure to list in the description box what I have in my screw box, all the sizes, all the links that I have in my collection. I'll list them in the description box so you guys know exactly what I have in my box. So in case you want to kind of replicate the design, you'll know exactly what I have in here. Another couple of items that are supplies in my crafting stash have to be these outdoor items. So I love using unconventional items in my DIYs. You guys know that. I use the weirdest things and turn them into something like so fabulous for you guys. So one of them is this product called Gutter Guard. Now, initially this is for preventing leaves from getting into your gutters, but this is like a plastic mesh. So let me grab one that's open for you guys. This is what it looks like. And if you see this, I'm sure a lot of ideas can come to mind on what you can use for this. Now, I use this in place of using the mesh on the Dollar Tree trash cans. This is flexible in plastic, but it's also very thick. Now, it's made by Frost King. That is who makes the product. And these rolls have 20 feet on them. I recently picked them up on clearance at the home improvement store, but I believe you can also get these on Amazon if you can't find them in your home improvement store. But these are so much fun to use. I've used them in my shutter designs, in my basket designs. So much fun to craft with these. So this is definitely a staple supply that I keep in my craft room. Another item I keep in there is this irrigation tubing. Now, what this is used for is for irrigating your yards. You run your water lines through it and it irrigates all of your plants in your garden. But when I saw it, I thought of something totally different. And I use this for all my designs where I want to get the look of wrought iron or iron swirled pieces in my projects. And this was the perfect project. Now, I love, this is irrigation tubing. I love this and the drip irrigation tubing. This is made by Rainbird, or they have several other different brands that you could use, and I will show those. Now, this Orbit brand soaker tubing is really great. It has a great texture as well. It's a little bit more flexible than irrigation tubing, but I do love using both in my iron look projects. But yes, this is so much fun to use in crafting. I definitely always keep a roll of this in my craft stash because you never know when some inspiring iron looking designs are going to pop into my head. And you guys know I love the look of iron and wood in my projects because I always try to bring you some high-end looking projects that kind of replicate something sold at a more expensive store. So definitely grab a roll of this. You can get it at any home improvement store. You can get it online. It's widely available because it is a widely used product in a garden. So check your garden centers and look for irrigation tubing at 1/4 of an inch. Another one of my supply must-haves in my space is another box, and this is where I keep all of my metal accents that I use in my projects. Again, I'm using another one of those big fishing and tackle boxes. I love these clear boxes. And this just includes all of my little accessories, whether I need like little hooks for shelving. You guys probably recently seen my DIY where I use these beautiful farmhouse hooks in here. I also have little black hooks for projects that I might need. And then on one of my DIYs, I use these beautiful little metal corners. These are really cute accents. And then, by the way, you guys, everything in this box is from Amazon except for these hooks, which were actually from Dollar Tree a while back. So I have those little corner pieces here and lots of these little feet. You guys always love when I use these little feet in some of my DIY projects. All of these are from Amazon as well. So I like to keep all those little middle things in here. And then I also love these little tags. These were actually really inexpensive. All these things are actually for really good price. And I use these on the front of little crates and boxes. And then I have those little scoop type handles in here in that brassy finish. But I love to keep a box with all of my metal items so I can just go ahead and grab it in one grab, and then I can choose whatever I want from here. So this is definitely something I'll link in the description box, all the things in this box, so you guys can be prepared to get your craft space up to date. And you guys know, you always see me use this craft paper, whether I'm covering up my work surface or I'm actually covering the back of all of my signs and things for a professional finish. Now what I use for that is this. This is a huge roll of contractor's paper, and this is 140 feet. I get this from Lowe's, and this thing lasts me, gosh, but you see I just ran out of my previous one, so I buy this almost every 18 months. I mean, this lasts me forever. So I use it to cover my crafting surface. I also cover the back of projects. And what I love about this paper is because the thickness of it is much thicker than your standard rolls of craft paper that you'll find in like gift wrapping stores. It's contractor quality, so that means it is a lot thicker. And again, you have 140 feet, you guys. So this is about 35 inches long. So yes, this is definitely a staple. I definitely keep in my craft room. If you are a big time crafter, you definitely need to get this. It'll probably be one of the only rolls you'll ever need, at least for the next year and a half. Now these I keep in my craft room all year round. You guys know the Tumbling Tower blocks at the Dollar Tree. These are not just for game playing, you guys. You can use these for so many things, and I keep these as a staple, not only to make DIY projects out of, you know, I'll build little planters and things out of these, but you guys, these blocks are good for leveling up your different types of projects, whether you need a little add feet to something, if you need to put them on the corner of a piece of wood to add some adhesion or support. They actually add some height to different projects, so they have a utility use as well as a addition to like a craft that you're making. So these are more, I have more of these than probably anything in my stash, and I buy these by the case online at Dollar Tree online. So I always keep some of these. These are so handy. They are solid wood, so they can be stained and painted. But definitely have some of these in your stash at all times, because you never know whether you're going to get inspired by a craft or just need something that needs a little extra support, and these blocks are the perfect size and they will come in handy for that. Listen, I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video and have found it helpful in your journey to get the craft room supplies and tools that you need. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to check out all of the items mentioned today linked in the description box below. Make sure you don't miss a video by subscribing, and hit that bell to be notified when we go live. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.